Next point, assembly is knocking, GRA is beckoning, everybody is coming in. How are they surviving and what can they do? Are there, spaces through which they can meander and find it easy? But before we get into all of that, let's check out what's up with the weather. Good morning, Felicity Hafiano.
Good morning, Johnny.
How are you?
I'm much better today than yesterday. What about you?
I can imagine. I am greater than Accra.
Amen.
So the weather yesterday a bit cold and hot. That makes a mixed reaction if you asked me. What's going to be different today?
It's not going to be different from what we experienced yesterday. We are having the incursion of the dry harmattan wind once again invading the country. So today we expect the sky to be misty this morning over the southern sector, and then later becoming partly cloudy. The north and the transition and parts of Ashanti, OT regions, we expect them to have dry and slightly hazy conditions with traces of dust particles in suspension. Visibilities are expected to range between 5,000 and 8,000 meters, or 5 kilometers to 8 kilometers. In terms of temperatures, we are expecting it around 38, 39 for the north, 35, 36 for the middle sector. Greater Accra, we are expecting it around 33, secondary Takrady, 32 degrees Celsius, with just 30% chance of rain and thunder possible over the western region, western northern part of Greater Accra. Eastern region also has some 30%, but it's just going to be over just a few areas. For the state of the sea, we expect it to be rough. No massive rain and thunder clouds, but we are having just pockets over the sea. So they can go for fishing, but they have to be careful. The water lake is also pretty cool this morning, misty with fog patches over some few areas. In the afternoon, it will give way to clear skies and then pretty good for fishing activities. So in a nutshell, this is how we expect today to be. Tomorrow, Saturday through to Sunday, we are expecting the intensification of the harmattan conditions over the north, the transition, and extending slightly down to the middle and then part of the coastal belt, in a sense that we'll be having mostly fairly stable conditions with just a few clouds and then some few rain activities. So this is how we expect it to be.
Thank you so much, Felicity Ahafiano of the Ghana Meteorological Agency. And I wish you all the best for the weekend. Yeah.
Same to you.
Now we know what's going to be. Amatande come giddy giddy woto woto. Woto woto. 16 minutes after 6 here on the 3FM Sunrise Morning Show. And deepest condolences to my good friend John Odoy. You lay your mom to rest tomorrow. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Let's get straight into the news headlines. The Finder newspaper begins and says Abu Janapo, calls for calm to resolve Ramsar site impasse amicably. 6 MPs condemn purported eschewment of rival chief of Boku. Amwabeng urges politicians to stop inference in systems put in place to check corruption, approve pending fiscal measures, as well as mid-year budgets in August of Foriata to Parliament. And the Ghanaian Times says domestic debt exchange program individual pension bond holders exempted as government commits to well-being dignity of pensioners. Parents, children besiege Accra Resolution Center to address challenges. They're supposed to go to school on Sunday, right? But some of them do not have their schools. Greater Accra Rexec deploys security on East Legon land to forestall clashes between feuding factions. And West Hills Mall murder case docket forwarded to the Attorney General for advice. Helen Apiampofo and Godwin Asediba are here in flesh and blood.
Good morning, Alaji.
Good morning, good morning.
How are we feeling, Johnny?
Greater than Accra, always.
We love that. All right, I've got the ABC newspaper in front of me. Number of stories on the front page. DDEP, pensioners get exemption. You have Ken Oforiatta pictured here in white. As always, he was told in Parliament
Bible quoting.
Thank you, to park the Bible quotations for a little while so we can get to the meat of the matter. You've got Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa also pictured here. Ablakwa accused of running 2 unregistered registered companies. It's captured on page 5, and we will talk about it. Ban nurses from using phones during working hours. Ejisu residents to the Ghana Health Service. It's captured on page 7. I'm very curious about that. I'll segue into it shortly.
Why is it? Is it because they don't get enough attention for patients, or what?
I'm going to bet that that's the reason that they feel that way.
Let's try and dig into it. I said, about what do you have?
So I have the Republic Press, which says that the zero residents petition IGP, regional minister, to halt illegal building in the middle of the road. Government begins payment of LEAP to eligible households nationwide, quite similar to what Helen read. Ban nurses from using phones during working hours.
All right.
And that's from the Ejisu residents. And just on that case, we realized that some of the victims who were affected way back has been compensated with some amount of money, which I think the newsroom will be following up today. Also, Loverboy banker faces side chick in court. Yeah, and also a story over the pensioners on the domestic debt exchange program.
Are you curious about what's happening with the mobile phones?
I am curious.
Residents?
I am curious.
Let's find out. Now, some residents of Ejisu and Ashanti have appealed to the Ghana Health Service to consider banning the use of mobile phones by nurses during working hours. According to them, this will cause nurses to pay close attention while on duty, and will also help save the lives of patients who require critical care and attention, particularly during emergencies. I shudder to think that nurses are using their phones during emergencies.
That's not cool.
Well, the residents appealed during the annual health performance review meeting organized by the Municipal Directorate of the service at Ejisu. They cited several instances of nurses on duty, listen up, playing games on their phones while patients who needed critical care were left unattended.
They are playing games.
Playing games on their phones as patients are there waiting to be cared for. They also cite the attitude of the nurses. They say it leaves something to be desired. Now, responding to the accusations and the appeal by the residents, the Municipal Director of Health Services, Mrs. Josephine Ahosu, condemned the behavior of the nurses and said it is unethical for a nurse to use a mobile phone whilst a patient is present. She assured the residents that the Health Directorate would work on their request and instill discipline amongst their health workers.
Well, but I think that this argument always comes up because people use particularly teaching and nursing professions as a launchpad to get better jobs, if you will, or to get reliable sources of income. So majority of the people will not be your regular Florence Nightingale these days. They would rather be there because they want to survive and they want to put flesh and blood together. And it's a problem we have to pay attention to, especially when we politicize things like nursing training allowance and teacher training allowance.
That's right.
It's been overly politicized. So we're looking at how many nurses we were able to employ, how many teachers we were able to employ, and not necessarily what the quality and impact that they bring to the workplace is to the individuals whose taxes will be used to employ them. That's one leg of it. The second point is we see how nurses struggle in schools, and this is not to make an excuse for them, but in schools, even to feed. We see nurses and teacher trainees on tape fighting over food in droves, and that also lowers the kind of outlook and dignity that they have in mind to want to spread it on to people who come to them, for treatment. And for me, I think that we need to look at it. Where are the sanctions? If this has been going on for a long time, I'm sure somebody might have complained about it somewhere. Is the Municipal Director of Health now responding to it publicly because this is a call that is being made to ban, the use of mobile phones? These are critical questions that will come up.
You think that mobile phones should be banned entirely whilst they're on duty?
Well, I think that we must have some level of restriction because we live in a country we know that our emergency systems do not work.
That's right.
And so I would want to refer a situation to yesterday. I took my wife to the hospital and they had to make a call to another hospital for something that they needed, and it was somebody's personal phone that was called. Okay, so that if you ban the use of phones outrightly, then you are shortchanging people and putting their lives at risk. However, in cases of emergency, unless, of course, it is very, very necessary for you to use a phone. I don't see why you should use the phone. And even that, I'm sure that whoever is the supervisor at the time can elect one individual to be the go-to person while the rest focus on the patient who has been brought. Because an emergency is an emergency. As the president said, we know how to bring the economy back. We don't know how to bring lives back. It appears they don't know how to do both.
Well, I personally think that the issue between nurses and patients has been like this for a very long time. Immediately you mention Ghanaian nurses, the assumption is that they don't respect patients, they don't treat them the way they are supposed to be treated. And most of them complain that they sometimes get overwhelmed with the issues that come. So it's like, all the time you're seeing people who come and say you have to attend to this person and that, and when someone comes to talk to you about not being able to see a doctor or something, they just overreact because they are overwhelmed.
Right.
And the most fascinating part about this particular issue is that you see them using the Mickey Mouse phone case. You know, so you go there, you talk to them, and they are sitting there relaxed and pressing the phone with the whole Mickey Mouse thing. And it's so funny.
But I think also that you raise a question about they being overwhelmed. What's the WHO average, the World Health Organization average, in terms of 1 to 500, right, or about 800? What is our average, our national average? Same with teachers, same with doctors, same with physician assistants, same with pharmacists, same with, what is the national average? We obviously don't have enough. So if you're going to drill down, you find that most of these nurses, and not to make an excuse for them anyway, I mean, because there are very good nurses and there are some who are very insolent and indisciplined.
Yeah.
But then you find that in most cases, they are either overworked, and so they bring that frustration onto the people. I mean, back in the day, if you go to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, nurses had quarters, doctors had quarters, so they wouldn't be thinking about struggling for accommodation because they know where to lay their head if they are transferred. These days, they are forced to look for their own accommodation, with the attendant issues of not having, say, a toilet in the house, and they have to go and rent and then go and chase after public toilet spaces so they can poo. Forgive me if you're having your breakfast. But they bring all of that frustration, like the police, like the prison service, like the fire service, like the teachers. They bring all of it to the workplace. So their psychological makeup is already punctured by the time they meet the patient. And so when you come and you are telling them what need you have of their services, they think that you are asking for too much. And that's where they also flare up and blow things out of proportion.
I think this also raises concerns about how a number of nurses are trying to seek job opportunities in UK and Canada. And it will surprise you that when they go to those places and they are on duty, they don't use their phones. So why would you not, start practicing it here and be disciplined with your job, so that when you get to that place, you just be used to it? Because you know that maybe probably the money you are earning in there is much more than what you're getting here, or
but actually,
the
Godwin,
environment.
it's also the structures that are in place.
Okay, well,
in that part of the world, I mean, it's laid down rules. Everybody follows the rules. The disciplinary action. You dare not, for example. Well, in this instance, we're being told that it has been noted. We'll see what happens moving forward. Well, the ABC newspaper.
I think also that, regarding what Asediba said, that the exportation, or if you like, brain drain. That's called. But then we have had instances where government itself has facilitated the export, for want of better expression, of nurses and doctors and whatever to other countries. Okay, that's one leg of it. And then you're asking the critical question as to why, people do not use their phones when they work in other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
It is because I asked the first question. There is a supervisor who is watching and insisting on what has to be done. A friend of mine who was a policeman here, who's a doctor there, says that even for patients, sometimes you have to move the patient as a doctor to either the lab or to the ward, or that kind of thing. So you feel the service of the individual coming to you.
Absolutely.
And there I say that we train and our nurses with some form of timidity. some form of timidity. So people go to the hospitals like they would do to fire service. They come, fire service are trying to fight fire. And everybody in the crowd is dictating to the fire service how to go about dousing the fire. We go to the hospital sometimes to dictate to the nurses. The nurse I think I have malaria. If you know what you had, why didn't you treat it at home? Why you coming to the hospital to get help? So it's a give and take situation. I mean, let's try and help them. It's also important that we're able to draw their attention in a very courteous manner if we think that they are not doing something that's right. But of course, it takes me, I think, again, back into the day. If you were a nurse, for example, long hair, wig, they were not your thing. Long earrings, they were not your thing. High heels, they were not your thing.
Allow them to slay.
No, it's not, because you see, there are reasons for that. I mean, imagine a very aggressive patient who suddenly grabs your earring, like what Helen's wearing. Grabs your earring, your ear is gone. If he grabs it and pulls it, your ear is gone.
Yeah.
So it is for you, for their own good. But these days you find them some in gold hair, some in pink hair. You're asking, hello?
It's a new generation.
What's going on?
Yeah,
Well,
pink,
exactly.
Ethics and standards are ethics and
true.
standards.
Well, I mean, you can still wear the long weave and tie it at the back in a way.
I mean that's allowed.
Yeah.
You can tie it. The whole essence is that you do not have anything that's obstruction or distraction or something that could actually harm you. Somebody could hold on to your earring, as I said, and your ear is gone. It's damaged for life.
How about the length of their uniform?
Well, there are rules as well. Because you can't be seducing the patient or be seen to be seducing the patient.
That should be some sort of relief to...
You have malaria seduction for home. Your temperature is high. You're looking at miniskirts.
So
you don't want to get well soon.
There's a funny video, a viral one, that I think the patient was trying to put a drip, and the guy woke up and grabbed the ladies, and she just hit the man, and the thing that reads your breath just went off.
Next time, don't touch people.
The ECG machine.
Thank you.
Just went off. Anyway, so page 11 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, SHS placement. Parents, children besiege Accra Resolution Center to address challenges. Hundreds of parents and their children yesterday thronged the Accra Resolution Center to address challenges with their wards school placement. The center, located at the Ghana National Association of Teachers at Adabraka, was jam-packed with parents tumbling over each other, all in the bid to have their concerns addressed. It took a high sense of professionalism by officials led by the deputy coordinator of the Free SHS, Nana Afrasika Mensa, and the public relations officer of the Ministry of Education, Larry Botri, with assistance of the police to avert chaos at the center. One could hear officials through the public address system available urging parents and students to be calm, as each and every one concern will be addressed. In addition, they were being asked not to pay monies to individual groups who purported to be officials at the service was free of charge. This has become one too many. One too many. I remember not so long ago at the Elwak sports stadium, at the Independence Sports Stadium, parents were running helter-skelter, as the ACP Clue say, heketa. I mean, people were running helter-skelter. And you can't believe how a computerized system that we've run for more than 10 years still has these problems. You can't imagine how we're paying people to man the IT offices and we still have these problems. I can't think about it and think about it straight. I always ask myself, are we really serious? Because it goes back to the earlier points I've made, a few days ago, that these children are expected to bring their A game of patriotism to the table.
That's right.
After school. If you take them through this mess and stress, they will not be happy with you, and they will not give back. They would want to flee the country. Back in the day, my system, my generation, we had the headmasters and headmistresses congregate at a point. They pick your card, and then they check the grades, and then they see if they want to admit you or not. A nice list is made at the school. You go, you check, you come back, you pick your prospectus, you go and buy the stuff. you're in school. As simple as that. Then we came and we said, look, for example, if I live in Accra and I'm supposed to go to, say, Kukrantumi SHS or St. Peter's SHS, and I go and then I have to come back before I come and prepare and go back. It's quite a journey. So let's use an electronic medium to make things easier. Kudos. But the electronic medium has shown that people are profiteering from it.
That's right.
People are ripping others off. And the system is just not systeming. It's not systeming because it doesn't add up. That I've written my BEC, I have my results, and I've chosen 6 schools these days, I'm told, or 5, and you're supposed to place me in one of the schools, and then problem.
We do this for a lot of things. Think about even acquiring a Ghana card, the kind of stress that these systems put you through, and especially for this government where they've been touting the digital agenda. I think that by this point, 2023, we should be doing much better in terms of how we use certain systems. We have issues with the IT system for the tax collection. We instituted the e-tax system, wahala. Getting Ghana card, wahala. School placement, wahala. So what are we doing? Are we coming or going? It's 2023. We're thinking about sky trains, but the things that need to be done properly, we're not doing
the ground.
those things.
The things on the ground.
Every day looking for new agendas. But what about strengthening the systems that are already on the ground and we're using?
I honestly think that, and the children are going back to school on the 19th. These ones who do not even know the schools they are supposed to attend. 19th, today is 17th, Saturday is 18th, Sunday is 19th. So you already do not know the school you are supposed to attend. You don't know what the details of the prospectus is.
Exactly.
You don't know what the demands, the do's and don'ts of the school is. And then you are supposed to arrive in the school on Sunday. How do you do that? You are just supposed to arrive in the school on Sunday. How?
Very frustrating for parents, for students. Why?
And imagine just buying all the stuff that you need for school, your trunk, bed, and all of that, and you get a day school.
Yeah.
I'm not
William, let's welcome you first. Let's welcome you. Take your time. We have already said that you are not here. So let's welcome you here. Welcome. How was your night?
Good morning, William.
How was your night? Don't sneak in like the finance minister. It's not good. It's not good for you.
My night has always been good, Charlie.
See, we're coordinating a little bit, gentlemen, other than you, Godwin. You didn't get the memo. It's a blue situation this Friday. You feel me?
Situation.
Power Rangers today. Come on.
So the authorities really need to pay attention to this because, again, it's frustrating. It is really frustrating. Think about the fact that the government always tells us that, look, you're not supposed to buy anything, you're just supposed to pack. And that's not true. That's a blatant lie. It's not you buy. William, myself, you, Asediba, back in the day, you had PTAs, okay, which were functional. Now the PTAs are not supposed to be there. It is the parents themselves who have put themselves in a WhatsApp group, and then sometimes the headmasters will appeal, or old boys who would appeal and say, do ABCD. But back in the day, let's say Hamado wants, the boys at Hamado want, iron. PTA or old boys can contribute and buy 20 irons. Give to the boys. Finish.
This time we bought 75 pieces. Everybody brought iron.
Everybody's buying iron. Everybody's buying broom. Everybody's buying rake. Everybody's buying cutlass. So what's going on?
We went in there. We changed 14 water closets with systems.
14 of them.
Wow.
We changed. We had to go and fix the borehole. We had to support the feeding. Then we had to pay the PTA unofficially. You saw
And the funny thing, at some point this year, they were even asking the headmasters to come to the regional offices, come and sign on that, taking that they were not going to demand money. So why are we lying to ourselves?
They went to school January 19th.
Yes, and they are coming back on February.
I'm supposed to go and pick her. Less than a month and
January
a half.
9. Yes. So they are coming back before 90. Today is Friday. You're picking them. So what it means that
for her.
They have just done.
She was going to be there till April ending or thereabouts.
They have just done 5 weeks
because the form ones don't have space.
5 weeks. Now 5 weeks is supposed to be what? 1 term or what? Because 1 term in any civilized place is 3 months.
3 months.
So How is it? How did we get
So
here?
how do they classify this? So they've gone to school for what? What do they classify this term that they've been away there? This is
It's a micro term.
micro term.
First quarter.
First quarter.
First quarter of the first term of the first year.
So what do you tell parents when you tell them to come for the awards? It's
They
not
just-
time-
they just
come
issue
for
the
your
directive.
No, they
Yes.
just issue it all.
Come for your awards.
Yes. You know, there was an instance. I was telling you about a gentleman who attended at Desadel College. I think it was in 2021 or so. On the 5th of May, a certain 5th of May, that's my son's birthday, I'll never forget. We put the boy in a taxi, paid 300 Ghana cedis from Accra to Desadel College, only for him to get there, and then they said they have to go and come back the next week.
Yeah.
You remember that incident? So we paid another 300 to come back. And then we paid another 300 for him to go back the following week. And then another 300 then was done with the school to come back. That is 600, 1,002. The whole free SHS thing per year is 1,003. What the government spends is 1,003. So transport alone is 1,002. We have not considered the food that we bought, pepper, all those things, pocket money. So when the government says, "Oh, let the children just pack their things and come," that's not the situation. There is more to it than meets the eye, I tell you. And if you talk to the parents, they will tell you that we actually spend more money trying to get the children through these schools. And it is because we do not have the alternative. If you want to do the Akusumo International, whatever, then you have to sell everything you have.
School fees.
You can't live.
I saw a bill for one of the schools, 98,000 per semester. 98,000. If you convert from dollar, at that time the dollar was good. So these big men and women, they will take their children to.
And surprisingly, they are the ones who put the policies together to frustrate these kids. 5 weeks. So William said, "I don't have any plan," and he's right to say that because when he was going to school during his school days,
I would have
he would have
taken some leave.
Yes,
and be with them for the 1 month or two. Now I have
you don't know. It's all of a sudden.
Yes,
all of a sudden. And you know, Nat spoke about this. Alaji Nat in the Shanti region. He spoke about this. He spoke about it. He not Alaji Nat. What's the name? The head of assistant secondary school, Chas. Alaji Chas. Yes. He spoke about it. He spoke about the chairs, he spoke about beds, he spoke about classrooms, he spoke about all these things in 2021. We're in 2023 and the situation pertains. So we learn from history that we do not learn from history.
Yeah?
That's where we are. Yeah.
I'm supposed to pick here at 7:30 a.m.
So when you're supposed to close from here at 10 in the morning and then go and supervise midday news.
Please pick them up early enough in order not to fall into any trouble.
This is from the school. PTA. That you are supposed to pick your daughter up at 7:30.
From 7:30, so that they will leave there early.
Exactly.
Because if you think that you are going to close from work or you go for lunch, by the time you go, everybody has come and she's there alone.
Yeah.
And the school is not in session. And I have to come here. Johnny will say on air that I'm not here if I don't come.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Look at your face.
But this is really frustrating and disappointing.
Very.
It's very disappointing.
How do the other parents feel with him?
I mean, this is a private, so I can't be reading the message.
Exactly.
Right, of course.
Other than that,
But the sentiments are the same.
yeah. I mean, who would like this? You are there thinking that, even if this weekend you and your wife have plans.
Yeah, some people didn't get a chance to celebrate the Valentine's on Tuesday.
And
This is
it's
the weekend for that. Now the children are already down.
And children are coming.
They're coming to destroy the Valentine. When we are planning to go to Bridgeview in Akosombo, then suddenly we are told that the children have to come. Suddenly.
And so on and so forth.
And so on and so forth. Suddenly.
On page 3 of the Republic Press, the story about the lover boy banker who faces the side check in court. Yesterday there was a ruling on the back of that as well. So let me just read a bit about that. The dust hovering around the alleged sex scandal involving Ernest Kwesini Mako and his side chick Deborah Sarah Madabla may soon settle, as an Accra High Court has directed the two to file their written submissions not later than February 23, 2023. Deborah Sarah Madabla, a former National Service personnel, sued her former boss Dike Mako, a man who she claimed to be her sugar daddy, for allegedly breaching an agreement to take care of her. So let me move on to what the court has been saying. The court presided over by Justice Olivia Obing-Owusu has asked the parties, a former national service personnel of a bank and her immediate boss also at the bank, to file their written submissions before February 23, 2023.
So the case has not started effectively. They're not doing case management, if you will.
Yeah.
So it is private life. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it is his private life.
Private life with public interest.
Yeah, but it is his private life.
Yes, but we've learned many lessons from this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is his private life.
Yes. It's good when we have private giving us
because of
public
the elements of alleged sexual harassment is of public interest.
Of course, I agree, but it is his private life.
No, so
it's on page 3.
We'll pick
Johnny.
on
Were you guys as interested as you are interested in this in the Sewa Bruni case?
But we also
and the Papano case.
Yeah,
were
it
you
was the same thing.
Were you as because in those situations be one attack
because he didn't go to court.
But this one, it is somebody's private pocket money.
Sewa Bruni didn't go to court. Papano didn't go to court.
So Sewa Bruni, she did an expose.
Yeah, but he didn't go to court. That was Casa de Zem.
Yeah, we have to go, guys. Thank you so much, William, Helen, and Godwin. Lakeside Estate is offering